It's a last weekend before Christmas. Obviously, Christmas is next weekend, so there aren't going to be any tournaments. It's very unlikely there's going to be any tournaments, but also our Lord and Savior JCM S85 is taking a break, which is fair enough. They've been working hard all year, so they've got like an end of season roundup of the stats. And I mentioned personally once again. Personally mentioned once again. So this is Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. There are only 4 events this weekend, and as of last weekend, as the last weekend, I'll be covering where we are at the end of the year. And basically saying it's not the end of the season, but obviously there's a couple more events in January and the LVO for when the season truly ends. Because obviously, come next year, come probably early next year, we're going to have a new chapter approved, we're going to have brand new points, and we're going to have a new balanced data slate all at the same time. So that'll be the officially mark the end of the season, because we've been playing Nephilim for 6 months now. So if you've got a Nephilim book, time to throw it away. Don't need it anymore. But yeah, so we're gonna have a brand new season as of next year. So we've only got probably 3 weekends left, because we've got Christmas in the middle, so there'll be a break there. But there was 4 events. There was Rise of the Empire GT, where Sisters won. There was Odyssey Game Store Championship with only 26 players, where Tau won. Another one with 23 players, and another one with 20 players where Tau won and Harlequins won as well. We've got an end of year report. You know? We've got an end of year report. What will Nephilim season be remembered for? The near peak balance of Warhammer 40k? Hard to say without good data from previous editions. If we go by GW standard, only 23 of the 42 factions listed below ended the year between 45-55% win rate, which is obviously the golden area that Games Workshop is aiming for with every army in the game. They want them to be between 45 and 55% win rate. That's where they want the game to be. Yeah, have a 10% bracket rather than everyone being 50%, just to give leeway, you know, to erroneous results from people who are going to their first tournament or people who are going to their 9 millionth tournament for the same weekend. Remember that the data below is from GT Plus events with 20 plus players from this season only. 4 factions finished the year above a 55% win rate this year. Tyranids, Harlequins, Yennari, and Creations of Baal. So these are, at the end of this year so far, just before we come into the end of the season, these are the strongest factions so far. You know, and it's not daft, you know, it's not silly. It's not like anything we've not seen before. We've seen Tyranids absolutely smash the entire year. It's been mental. Harlequins have always been up there. Yennari are probably one that are starting to come out on top now, as people are starting to pick up that army and really get their teeth into it. And Creations of Baal, I said were broken when they first came out, you know. Creations of Baal and Emperor's Children, both proper dumb. You know, 6 factions had 18 plus tournament wins. You know, biggest badass army of the year awards instead of the end of the year report. Yeah, yeah, that's true. End of the year army of the year award. I could do a whole show on that if I thought about that. Tom, where were you? Tom, where were you? I could have thought about that. I could have put a suit on. We could have done an end of the year award, army of the year awards. Never mind. Nids won 48 tournaments this year, or this month, or season. Necrons won 26, and Necrons had a really big spike this season because obviously the secondaries were crazy good. Harlequins got 21, Tau got 20, Sisters 19, and Chaos Demons got 18. So these are the factions that are just winning events at the minute, and obviously Tyranids over double the amount of Chaos Demons, and Chaos Demons are a good faction that are winning a lot of events at the minute. No tie, only cat ears. The 5 most played factions this season are Tyranids at 1,000 players. So Tyranids are the strongest faction, the most tournament winners, and most played. Hot diggity damn. Necron, 2nd most played. Tau, 3rd most played. Then Sisters Imperial Knight. So these 2 don't surprise me. Tau is quite interesting. I thought Tau was a lot smaller army, you know, but I guess a lot of people start to pick them up because they are quite good. Sisters are always doing well. They've been doing well consistently pretty much every season, which is cool. And then Imperial Knights is just one of those factions. People play them or they don't, you know. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. But they're a good one to take to tournaments because there's not many models. So a lot of new people like to take Knights if they're not taking Space Marines. The 5 factions with the highest top 5 percentages, funnily enough, is Tyranids! Best army of the year. You know? Best army of the year. So 1 out of every 8 Tyranid players this season made the top 5 of their event. That is horrific. Necrons get 10%. Chaos Demons were 7%, Sisters were 7%, and Quins were 6%. So a little bit more, you know, like they're like almost half the amount compared to Tyranids. But 1 out of every 6 Harlequin players made the top 5 of their event. So like they didn't get as they didn't have the higher percentage, but less people were playing them and still doing really well, really well. This is the season of the Tyranids, and honestly, their numbers are overwhelming, dominating all the key metrics, and while they have taken a step back over the last 2 months, it's clear that it's still the best faction of the game. I could see 9th being remembered for COVID, Drakari, and Tyranids. Yeah, which makes sense, you know? Tyranids have just been smashing it. They keep getting nerfed. They do keep getting nerfed. They've been nerfed in pretty much every balanced data slate. All have had a points rise, and they are still doing really well. Same with Harlequins. Harlequins are exactly the same. Necrons are an interesting story this season. They shot to the top and were neck and neck with Nids for the first half of the season, but have plummeted down in the back half. They are still winning events, but have fallen from their brief heights. And I think that's because people have learned how to play against Necrons. I think at the start of the season, when everyone started playing Necrons, because the secondaries were like, wait, what? You can score 100 points in like 2 turns? People were a bit scared, but now they've kind of, I think they've like learned how to deal with them, and then the people who have realized that people have learned how to deal with them have moved on. So people are still winning with Necrons, and people are still doing really well, but they're like the people who have been playing Necrons for a while, whereas the people who picked them up because they were good have probably dropped them and moved on. You know? Chaos Demons are riding high on the back of Flamers, and in fact all Chaos faction are. The fact that they have won 18 events and make up a good chunk of the top 5 in the brief time their codex has been out shows how good they are. Are they another Advec, or will they stick around in the last season of this edition? Yeah, if Flamers get nerfed, I think a lot of factions struggle, bar Creations of Bile. Maybe Emperor's Children. I think Chaos Demons really fill a gap, or plug a gap, or Flamers don't even plug a gap. They just start a problem for your opponent. They open gaps for your opponent, you know? So Flamers are actually awful. Actually awful as a unit to play against. They are horrifically good. And they are so undercosted that they just cause problems for your opponents. And then they can take Creations of Bile if they want to. They can take Emperor's Children currently if they want to. Obviously, Flamers are helping Thousand Suns have such a high win rate recently as well. But yeah, so I think if Flamers get nerfed, I think some Chaos factions will struggle, especially Thousand Suns. But being the big but, if they don't, or they don't get hit hard enough, I think Chaos Space Marines with allied Flamers will still climb to the top. I think they'll be the best army, because I think Tyranids are going to get nerfed again. In my heart of heart tells me Tyranids are going to get a little bit of a shafting because they've been so good, but not a massive shafting. I think they're going to get some points risers on a lot of the key units that aren't warriors. So, Tower in interesting state with the 3rd most players this season, 4th most tournament wins, and near perfect 50% win rate. So Tau, as much as I hate to say it, because I hate Tau and I hate Tau players and I hate everything they stand for, they're the perfect faction. The 50% win rate, they do really well. They're just fine, you know? Some people do really well with them, some people don't. But they're average 50%. So, the only Imperial factions with teeth this season have proven to be Sisters and Imperial Knights, both hanging out with a 50% win rate, and both having a good number of tournament wins. Armor of Contempt was a sea change, or a key change, in the data slate, or so we thought, as its effects along with a few points drops made one Space Marine faction competitive this season, Blood Angels. And definitely, Blood Angels, more specifically Sanguinary Guard, are by far the best unit Space Marines have access to. That 2-up save with reducing AP by 1, being able to fly, +1 to wound, they are a horrific unit in any army, you know. But only Blood Angels can take them, and that's why Blood Angels are so competitive. You know? Well, it did slow the killing of the power game. It did not help Space Marines deal with the onslaught of the new codexes. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, Armor of Contempt hasn't made Space Marines broken. It hasn't made them broken, but what it has done is it's kind of like closed the gap a little bit, where it makes it feel like Space Marines can compete a little bit. It makes them feel like they can survive the boosted AP and the boosted damage potential of all new codexes. Armor of Contempt helped slow that down, but it didn't help enough, clearly, because Space Marines are one of the worst factions in the game. Imagine if they didn't have Armor of Contempt. But on the flip side, imagine if Chaos Space Marines didn't have Armor of Contempt. Where would they be? Would they be one of the top performing factions? Maybe, maybe not. You know, I don't know. It's interesting though. It's very interesting. The fact that like Armor of Contempt is so widespread in the game as well, that it's kind of like a plaster on a big problem of the fact that AP is too high. Probably. Does Armor of Contempt stack with all this dust though? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Quins are the second best faction in the game, and the data is clear in my mind. Yes, their player base is small, but they just win. They win games and events at an amazing rate compared to a small player base. They place high and have competed all season. Yeah, Harlequins have just smashed it all the time. They're just a really good faction. They get quite a lot. They're quite cheap. They're very strong. They hit hard. They do die, but they have a 4+ invuln, so 50% of the time they don't. They're really good. Unari's another faction with a small player base that is outperforming their numbers. Most of their tournament wins have come in the last 2 months, and their win rates are climbing. Yeah, Unari an interesting one because there's such a big scope as well. What could be good for Unari, but we don't know. We don't really know what that is because it's just. I mean, is there a Unari list? Maybe, but there's so many options. It's kind of like going, oh, Space Marines have won. Who knows what it could be? It's huge. But finally, Votann seem to be growing in power, and I think LVO will be the big test. With less than 2 months of data, they have won 4 events, and their overall win rate is climbing, even if it's a roller coaster from week to week. Yeah, Leagues of Votann. Now this is season percentages now. This isn't weekly percentage or weekly stats. This is season stats. So Leagues of Votann. 53% win rate, but they've only had 113 players, you know? So they're really high. They're really high for such a small player base. Bear in mind, Harlequin, small player base, 400 players. 400 games. Yeah, no, 400 times have competed. So it's interesting, that's for sure. So this is the end of the season. So what have we got? Let's just have a look. So we've got players wins games. Season win percentage, season top 5. That's how many times, what percentage they place in the top 5, and tournament wins. And tournament wins right at the end. So, what faction shall we look at, chat? That's the question. Shall we have a look at Codex Space Marines? Because everyone loves Space Marines, right? We all love Space Marines. Codex Space Marines, 500 players, 1,000 wins. 2,779 games, an average win percent of 39. This is far below what Games Workshop are aiming for, but they did get 2% top 5 places, and they won 3. Space Marines won 3 tournaments in total, didn't they? Did you see the numbers? They won three tournaments. And as you can see, one of those tournaments was Ultramarines. But one of them was our boys, the Iron Hands. Okay. 124 players. 281 wins. 600 games. 45% win rate. Guys. 2 wins. 2 tournament wins. Okay. 124 players in total this season. Mikey Herbert, Iron Hands, Steel City GT winner. One win out of 124, chat, is 0.8%. I'm a top 0.8% Iron Hands player. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I'm a winner. Top 0.8% of all Iron Hands players. Let's go! I told you. One simple trick. Play a faction no one plays. Top, not less than 1%. I'm higher than 1% of players. Let's go. What is the maths on 0.8%? I've just told you. Out of 124 players, I got one win. I'm one of them. I got one tournament win out of 2. That Shock Assault update did serious work. I did take Shock Assault every game as well. I'm the top 0.8% of all Iron Hands players. Factually, statistically correct. Statistically. What can I say? You should try it. You guys should try it. It feels good. It feels good to be this good. You know? That's like saying you're top 0.8% of chlamydia sufferers. Thanks. This is like when an OnlyFans girl posts in her bio that she's top 1% of creators. And honestly, you've managed to be more annoying than them. Oh, you mean just like my thumbnail, Tom? You mean just like my thumbnail that I photoshopped? Oh my god, it's the same picture. Oh, I don't know what happened there. That was annoying. Yes, I am the top 0.8% of all players as photoshopped from OnlyFans. It's the same. It's the same. What can I say? Leading the way with top YouTube content creator. I am. First, I was the top YouTube content creator. I still am. And now I'm the top 0.8% of all Iron Hands players. All 124 of them. I'm going to win. Top 0.8%. That's how it works. What can I say? What can I say? But it's interesting. Here we go. So, as you can see, who's got the highest win rates? As we've mentioned, Tyranids. Where are Tyranids? We got Harlequins at 58. Big Tyranids at 58% win rate. 1,000 players. That's crazy high. 1,000 players is crazy high. Like Necrons had nearly 1,000. Space Marine, Chaos Space Marines had nearly that many as well. But Space Marines half that. You know, Tau 2/3. This is about 2/3. That's mental. You think like a year ago, 2 years ago? You know, like, I think 2 years ago, Space Marines probably would have been the top faction, the most played faction. Space Marines and Necrons, and now it's not. Now it's not. That makes me not 0.1% of Tau players. I mean, it must do. Tau players, 20 wins out of 700 players. You're one of them. Which one are you? You know? That's and Des. Don't come out with me with the technically, right? Don't come at me with the technically. I am top 0.8%. My 2023 New Year's resolution: win a tournament, and Mikey not to win any. I mean, good luck. Good luck. But yeah, so like, as you can see, like Harlequins, only 400 players, but just like 58% win rate is crazy dumb high. Crazy dumb high. Is Space Marines the lowest? We've got Space Wolves at 41. Codex Space Marines at 39. which is being carried by salamanders and iron hands. You know? 39%, but look at the other one. 29% Imperial Fists. They're so bad. But they've got hardly any players. But it's because they're so bad. What's Deathwatch? Deathwatch 40% win rate with 90 players. But the thing is, these stats, it's going to be wild next month because we're going to have like a little layover of like the new chapter approved not being out, but loads of factions losing their supplements, you know? Because this document exists, chat. I don't know if you remember this one. So, like, competitive players remember this one. You know? This is the Faction Psychic Awakening update, but these are supplements, okay? These are supplements, which is up to date and recommended, or Codex Now recommend. So these are supplements that were available to factions. And it's basically like, because obviously we had books that came out and then new codexes that came out, and there was like really weird crossover deciding what was going to happen with each one. But Psychic Awakening, you've got like this. It says like valid until January 2023 unless superseded by Codex. But there's some interesting ones. Now, the first one that's interesting is Psychic Awakening, the Greater Good for Astra Militarum. This is valid until January 2023 unless superseded by Codex. You know? Currently, as it stands, Guard don't have a new Codex. You know? Now, Creations of Bile has been outdated. I'm pretty sure Agents of the Imperium might have. Maybe not. Maybe Agents of Imperium will get superseded, but this isn't until June 2023. But we've also got all of these. Now, this is where it really kicks in. Free Blade Lance, Mechanicus Defensive Code, no one plays that. Terminus Est for Death Guard, Call of Strife for Dark Eldar, Drakari, and then House Raven, no one plays that for Knights, but also Codex Supplement Metallica. So all of these supplements from the Book of Rust are out of date as of like 11 days. I take those as the end of January 2023, not December 2022. Well, Justin, just like all grain names, the cringe comments flood in. It's until January 2023, not after January 2023. So until is until. If I said until 6, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, that's until 7. No, it's until 6. It's until January 2023. Which means technically, New Year's Day, these are all out of here. Now they're also losing Skitarii Veteran Cohort. So Admech players are getting nerfed again. The guys are getting nerfed again. Brits say things wrong. Are you high? You took letters out of the words and then tell us we say things wrong? Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. An American can't come in here and say British people say things wrong. You have our language and call it American. But Bellacore, now this has been updated, obviously. Appendix Code Space Marine, that's been updated. Armated Lady, which is, I think that's Sisters of Battle, right? Sisters of Battle, yoink. Kill Team Strike Force, again, January 2023. So this is Death Watch, Inquisition, whatever that part is. Codex Supplement Cadia. Obviously, this is the one from Rising Tide, again. So this is for the Cadian supplements, so that'll be going as well. Now, obviously, this was kind of written for the 8th edition Codex for Guard, but the 8th edition Guard Codex is still in play, technically. And then date sheets fortifications. So who knows who we're gonna get fortifications from? I feel like they've been reprinted since, but I don't remember where. Blood Axes, Astra Cartographer. So this will be the Road Trader stuff that people like to use, and Speed Freaks. And then obviously we got the Vanguard Spearhead. This is all June 2023 now. These ones are always in play, but these are June 2023. So Order of the Bloody Rose, still good. But Death Watch, gone. Cadia, gone. And that's what's interesting, because this is going to lead me on to my next topic. Is that LVO 2023 is under some fire. Because FLG needs to reconsider not allowing the new Guard Codex. Because they have currently banned the new Guard Codex in line with what Games Workshop have said in their Meta Watch video. They have linked it in their player packet update. They have said, let's get the big news out of the way. For several weeks, there have been many rumors about the new Astra Militarum Codex and what will and or won't be allowed from it, about how the secondaries are be addressed and stuff like that. Currently, the policy Games Workshop is in place is that the Astra Militarum Codex will not be legal at official events until it has received a full release, meaning not just the box set. When it becomes legal, official events, until it has received a full release, meaning not just the box set. When it becomes legal, we expect Games Workshop to update the balanced data slate to reflect the necessary changes. We, as many other major 40k events have already done, will follow the policy Games Workshop is in place, meaning the new Astra Militarum Codex, as of this writing, is not legal for Las Vegas Open 2023. As you can see,
Some rules on the balanced data slate right now. Do you think those rules are going to stay? Might they change?
That's a great question, Nick, and I know loads of people have asked us. So really what we try and do is we don't really treat the release of a codex until the main release, until it's like the actual book is on the shelves, and available.
So this is talking about what's happening with the Astra Militarum Codex, because there's obviously the balanced data slate, which has Armor of Contempt, it has Ignore Line of Sight, debuff and get a buff for using Ignore Line of Sight stuff, which everyone else doesn't benefit from, and they do. Obviously, Guard were a really odd codex, they have a lot in there.
To everybody,
Of course.
So the army sets are amazing, they're super fun, not everyone can get one, so we don't really treat them as being like suitable for match play until everyone's got access to them. So the balanced data slate as it is now will apply to the current codex, not the one that's in the launch set.
Of course,
not everyone will have that. That's our recommendation for match play. And then once the new codex comes out, we won't need a balanced data slate for it because it will have a new codex.
There you go. So that's the official line from Games Workshop, saying that essentially what they say is that the codexes in the army set, so in the FOMO box sets, are essentially previews. That's essentially what they're saying. They're essentially previews. They're not an official release. They're just like a preview for people to get hold of. And really, that's a special way of saying it's all marketing. Is to make people buy the box set. But what they're also saying in competitive events is that it is not legal to use an Astra Militarum Codex because it's not technically out, because it's just a preview. And that is the line that LVO are going with, which, I agree with. I totally agree with. Because the balanced data slate that is currently out is written for the old codex, not the new one. It's written for the old codex. So using the balanced data slate on the new codex is dumb, because it's written for the old one. But the problem I see, and I think it's probably unfair, it's probably unfair to a lot of players, not just Guard players, but most players, is that they're not only not allowed to use the new codex, they also, technically, they're losing their codex supplements, Cadia, and they're losing their codex supplement from Psychic Awakening from the Astra Militarum. So Astra Militarum are not only losing out on being able to use a new codex because it's not technically been released yet, but everyone knows what it is. They're also losing supplements that are helping the book. So the Guard will go from being the worst codex in the game with the balanced data slate, but multiple books to help them out, to just being just the codex, technically at the LVO. Which, in my opinion, is the wrong thing to do. I think for the LVO, until the end of January, which will give chance for Games Workshop to address any of these things, whether they're going to keep them in play or whether they're going to ban them completely. I think LVO should be like, yeah, don't worry, we're going to say until the end of January 2023 for all of these supplements, because Death Watch, Astra Militarum, and even AdMech are all going to get kicked in the dick, and Death Guard with Temnus S, because that's very popular as well, are all going to get kicked in the dick just because their supplement thing has run out. which is just wild, to be honest. It's really wild to me that like Games Workshop haven't addressed this. And again, it's in 11 days that this runs out, you know? So if Games Workshop are going, look, guys, LVO, are you listening? Psst, psst, are you listening? Are you listening? We don't recommend using the brand new Asheville Time Codex. You better fucking listen to what I say. If they're saying that, fair enough. I agree, you know? I do agree. I don't think you should use the Asheville Time Codex until the Asheville Time Codex is available on the shelf. And I think the problem is guard players are having to wait a little bit longer because there's Christmas in the middle. But at the same time, to not let Asheville Time players use the new codex and take away all of the extra stuff that they've had for like 3 years to just be vanilla codex. Pretty wild, mate. Pretty wild. So now until end of Jan means till the end of Jan. Until Jan means the end of Jan. But yeah, I agree. I agree. But we can't assume it means to the end of until the end of January. But I think we should play it until the end of January, because I don't think these should go out of date until the new chapter approved is out. The new chapter approved, the new points, and the new balanced data slate, because it does not make sense. It makes zero sense for the last 2 weeks of the season before the chapter approved comes out for everyone to stop using the supplements they've been using for 2 years. Like, that makes zero fucking sense. That should not happen. You know? I'll stand with my Astra Militarum players and tell everyone that you should be using all of the supplements that are available today until the new chapter approved. Because that's when the new season starts. When the chapter approved, the new points, and the balanced data slate all get updated at the same time. That's when it should happen. And there you go. There's my rant. So, Las Vegas Open, if you're listening, I'll happily be the head judge because I talk sense.